well. All right. What do you do? All right. Hey, YouTube people. So it's using my iPhone speaker as the speaker today. It decided to do that. I don't know. The sound will be different, but it's probably not going to be bad. My iPhone should have a decent speaker. It's not as good as this speaker, but nonetheless, very annoying because YouTube, once you get going, you can't edit things like that. I don't know why, but I can't change the speakers and stuff. I'm kind of curious though, like how is the sound that different with the sound coming from my phone instead of this speaker? Just curious. Oops, where is this? All right. Let me get TikTok rolling, and then we are set. Oh, that's right. I already have the TikTok thing ready to go. I forgot about that. I set it up a while ago. Good. Yay, me. All right. Live goal. You guys there, YouTube? I ask. Oh, let's go to live chat. See if that's any better. Nope. No responses on YouTube. Okay. I was asking if, could you guys even hear me? Vilas. Can you guys actually hear me on YouTube? I'm hoping. Yes. Okay. There were no responses. You had me worried. Yeah, because it's using the phone today, which I didn't choose, but it defaulted to the phone. So, and as you know, there's no way to change that once it's set up. You're okay on your end. I could put it a touch there. It's a touch higher on Discord, but remember Discord, now it's even a little high on Discord. Discord, the settings change themselves, remember. You have to go and adjust your own Discord settings. I set it at the exact same volume every day on Discord. I literally put it a little louder for you, but normally, actually, I don't even want to go much louder. No, I can't. I've got to put it the normal volume because this is going to TikTok as well. Yeah, sorry. I had to put it back at the regular volume. It's some setting on your end, Dave. Remember, TikTok does, or Discord does that. It changes things. It changes things on your end. Not you specifically, but we learned that a while ago. All right. All right. Okay, Darren, are you a normal person? Because that sentence didn't seem very normal on YouTube. Is that a normal person? Just asking. The sentence seems a little odd. All right. I'm going to start TikTok. There we go. Oops, actually, this can get a little brighter. There we go. All right. Oops, mute microphone. Don't want to do that. All right. There's TikTok. Hello, TikTok. Hello. How we doing today, guys? Another nasty news day. Oh, man. Hey, Big Hawk. Nasty, nasty news day. That T-shirt's very funny. I finally got it. It took me forever to understand it, but I get the T-shirt and hit a funny, I think it was Big Hawk. Somebody was showing me a very funny T-shirt, and I wasn't getting the joke. Now I do. So it's like, okay. Anyway. Exactly. Happy Cancel Disney Day. Boy, Disney and Hulu are in for a load of trouble today. Very interesting. People are boycotting them. I'm kind of intrigued. Very intrigued. But we've got lots of news today. Trump has ramped up his attacks on freedom of speech even more today. Very scary. He got a major American comedian fired last night, basically, by threatening the government to take away the broadcast license of the TV network if they didn't fire the comedian, which is totally illegal. But of course, who's going to punish him, right? And Trump then, this was Jimmy Kimmel, who Trump got fired or got his show taken off the air. Then Trump tweeted, yay, I got Jimmy Kimmel fired. Here's 2 more comedians I want fired. And he mentioned Seth Meyers and Jimmy Fallon, who are 2 other really good comedians. Trump wants them fired now too, because as many have said, this is McCarthyism. We are now in the McCarthy era when America was hell-bent on finding communists in the government. There was this whole communist scare. Everybody was a red. Everybody was communist. And now we've entered that in terms of anybody who puts out a message that is not in line with Donald Trump will lose their job or lose their career. Again, they threatened. This is really scary stuff, guys. So Saturday, we got our Saturday show. Just to remind folks, for the paid monthly subscribers, join us on Saturday. Let's just get rolling. Otherwise, though, the FCC, as I said, Trump's Federal Communications Commission got a major TV show canceled yesterday or indefinitely taken off the air. The chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, a Republican activist, thank you, NAR, for the mask, a Republican activist openly threatened ABC and Disney. ABC is a big American TV network, and Disney, you all know, threatened ABC and Disney openly and said, you will punish this particular comedian. And if you don't, I will go after your broadcast license and take you off the air. And he literally then said, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is you take him yourself. The hard way, I take your broadcast license. That's quote verbatim what he said. And the other thing they did, by the way, because he said, I'll take the broadcast licenses of your affiliates. Well, the affiliate, very complicated how broadcasting works in America. The affiliates freaked out, absolutely freaked out. Why? Because the affiliates have mergers. The affiliates are run by these one company, Nexstar, some other ones. They've got mergers coming up. They're buying other companies. Guess who the mergers have to be approved by? Donald Trump's FCC, the agency that ordered them to fire the comedian. So they fired the comedian because they're afraid that Donald Trump is going to not allow their mergers. This is the same thing that happened when Donald Trump got the payoff from CBS, and who was the other one he got the payoff from? ABC? Oh, no, not CBS. ABC, and who was the other payoff from? Help me out, guys. But Trump got a payoff from two different lawsuits that were totally ridiculous. All the lawyers said the lawsuits were nothing, absolutely nothing. And he got the payoff anyway from the lawsuits because the companies had mergers coming up. And they didn't want to upset Donald Trump and have their mergers turned down. So now Trump is using the power of the government and mind you, the power to regulate mergers of companies in order to fire individuals who tell jokes about him. This is straight out of Russia. This is straight out of Hungary with Orban. It's out of Russia today. It's out of Russia, the Soviet Union. It's not legal entirely. Mari said, how is it legal? Who's going to arrest him, right? Who's going to prosecute him? Is Pam Bondi and Kash Patel gonna prosecute Donald Trump? Really? Right? So what happened was the local networks didn't want to have their mergers killed. So they said, we're not going to show the comedian show. We're not going to show it. Well, once that happened, ABC and Disney said, okay, we're pulling the show. So ABC and Disney caved to what many feel is authoritarianism, and the fascist word comes up. And a lot of people are now boycotting ABC and Disney, which is great. I wrote about it today, or I talked about it today on TikTok, because I already saw a number of people canceling ABC and Disney, not ABC, excuse me, Hulu, because ABC, you can't really cancel, it's a network. But Hulu, which is part of this too, Hulu and Disney are together. People have canceled so much of their, because basically these are broadcast networks you can subscribe to. They're video subscription things on TV. The Disney network, also not just Disney network, Disneyland. Disney has a lot of different things you can avoid in the future. It's not just Disney network, Disneyland. People are canceling. You got to check on TikTok where I talked about this. The number of people, and people are putting up pictures of their cancellations. If you can, go for it. Disney and Hulu. Left and right cancellations. This is so somebody said they canceled an $8,000 Disney trip. I hope that's true. I will say this, what's amazing to me, especially Disney, Hulu's bad enough, but Disney wants to be the next Elon Musk. Really? Disney wants to be the next Tesla, the company where unless you're MAGA, nobody wants to touch them with a 10-foot pole, right? Now I look at Disney and I go, God, I don't want to get near Disney, right? Disney, it's like Disney is Donald Trump to me now. Why would I want to get near them? Rosie says, I canceled 2 Disney trips in my Hulu and Disney subscription. A ton of people did. I was shocked the number of people who did. ESPN. So is ESPN's tough for people because of the sports thing. Is ESPN part of Disney as well? Anyway, so that was good. Jesus. Oh God, That scared the hell out of me. My my thing that hangs up my sweatshirt. One moment. Fell off. I put these little suction hooks up. 1 second here. Up. I have these little suction hooks on the wall so I can hang a sweatshirt, because otherwise the sun comes in this time of day and it blares out the show. But one of the suction cups fell off and it was like, ah! Anyway, I know I jumped. Well, I jumped because it was like this thing falling next to me. I was like, well, it sounded like somebody was standing next to me. So I was like, what is this? It's demons, exactly. It's demons. Thank you, Sarah, for the gift. ESPN is owned by Disney. Well, if you're comfortable doing DSP, I don't know. You know, I didn't want to ask about ESPN because I felt bad for the sports people, but you know, they have to decide on their own. Trump, as I said, Trump got the one comedian fired. He immediately then called for 2 more comedians to be fired as well. 2 more comedians on TV. Trump then went one step further today. This is actually the big story of today. That's not even the big story I gave you. The big story of today, Donald Trump came out and threatened to take every media network off the air if they don't start giving him good coverage. He literally threatened to cancel all of their broadcast licenses for all of America's TV media, other than Fox News, of course, and the MAGA people. But he said, they give me bad coverage, they're mean to me, and I think we should take away their licenses. And he said it's up to Brendan Carr. Brendan Carr is the guy that ordered the TV station yesterday to fire the comedian. He goes, it's up to Brendan Carr, but I think they should take away their licenses. He didn't threaten. He called today for all of America's independent TV media to be taken off the air, to be shut down. And he has the power to do it with the licenses. It's illegal again, because you can't do it because they're mean to you. But this is incredibly dangerous, absolutely incredibly dangerous. I mean, again, Google it. He did it on TV. I see we got trolls saying, no, he didn't. He did it on television, okay? There's a video of Donald Trump doing it today repeatedly. Well, I will tell you. Trump says because he won the election and networks give him wholly bad publicity that I would think maybe their license should be taken away. He told reporters, it will be up to Brendan Carr, Federal Communications Commission chairman. I think Brendan Carr is outstanding. He's a patriot. He loves our country, and he's a tough guy. He's a tough guy. He's actually a MAGA activist. He literally is a MAGA activist that Trump put in this position. Really, no, you are talking any TV network, not just, and by the way, not just the news, any TV network that has a broadcast license, he can take them down. And it's the entire network, which is what he was doing with ABC. He wasn't just threatening ABC News. He was threatening ABC, Disney, Hulu, ESPN, all of them. Take them all down. Again, this is unheard of in modern America. You'd have to go back to the McCarthy era of the 1950s, when we had this panic run by this horrible U.S. senator who believed there was a communist behind every tree. And he ruined lives in Hollywood and in Washington and everywhere else. Thank you for the hat there. Who was that? William. Thank you, William. You have to go back that far to find any. We have never had a president in modern memory that threatened, that called for all TV media to be taken off the air, that he was going to take away their licenses because he thought they were mean to him. We have never had that. A number of Russians have been weighing in today and saying this is exactly Putin's playbook in Russia going back 20 years, that he actually went after comedians and went after the culture people. He also went after independent news outlets. There was apparently a very good independent, I don't know if it was called ITV, some of you Russia experts might know, but a very good Russian independent news network that Putin shut down 20 years ago because, of course, it was a threat to his dictatorship, and shut it down. Really incredible stuff. What else we got here? Sinclair. So it's very complicated because we've got companies that own companies that own companies that own companies, right? it's very complicated how our broadcast networks work here in America, because it's also super complicated because there's also naturally these big conglomerates, these big companies that own all the other companies. So you've got people like Sinclair, which is this broadcast group. It's a conservative activist broadcast group that, thank you, Sandria, for the music bubbles. Thank you, Julian, as well, for the heart. It's a conservative activist group that owns a lot of the TV stations around the country. And they're Republicans and they're Republican activists. And they will often make the local networks show basically Republican activist propaganda. And because they own it, there's no choice. Well, Sinclair weighed in and demanded Jimmy Kimmel apologize. Now, mind you, Jimmy Kimmel did nothing wrong. Jimmy Kimmel, they're all lying. They're claiming, all of them, Sinclair too, they're all claiming Jimmy Kimmel attacked Charlie Kirk. No, he didn't. He didn't even talk about Charlie Kirk. Literally, he didn't. He said the MAGA activists and Donald Trump are trying to do everything they can to blame everybody else, every other group other than MAGA, for the killing, which is true. From the killing, from Kirk's, from the attack on Kirk, they were trying to blame they've been trying to blame trans people. They've been trying to blame gays, right? They were trying to blame everybody. Today, my God, Marjorie Taylor Greene today attacked furries. I only learned about furries a couple of years ago. She claims this is the latest Republican thing. They're claiming the shooter was a furry, a gay furry. I kid you not. Now, I am going to do a very bad job of explaining this because I don't fully understand this stuff. The furries are those people that walk around dressed as animals, and they have like those really cool full animal outfit. Those are furries. They're now claiming the shooter was a trans loving furry. I kid you not. Listen to this from Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's a Trump's like biggest defender in Congress. She claimed the shooter was tied up in furry trans circles. They got this because the British tabloid Daily Mail, which is totally not credible, of course, claims that it's so crazy. He would go on Steam and play a gay furry game. And he was so good at the gay furry game that he earned a prize, an anthropomorphic cat character who dresses as a French maid. I just had to read you that because I thought that was the best sentence probably in years of anything I've had to read in the news. That was probably the best sentence ever. The shooter was so good at the gay furry game that he won an anthropomorphic cat character who dresses as a French maid. I mean, like, first of all, are you trying to humanize the guy? Like, he's a murderer. It sounds like they're trying to humanize him, which is not a good idea. Again, he is a murderer. He's a killer. But in any case, so yeah, this is so bad. I mean, I really can't tell you guys. Somebody on TikTok said, usually you're the guy I go to calm me down. And I told them that, and I'm trying to be careful because, which is really scary too, because social media in America, there's a lot of content regulation. And as you know, I'm very careful on TikTok because there's a lot of, and it's getting worse. TikTok, the plan was a couple months ago, the hope was from the American side that TikTok was going to get sold to a conglomerate of Trump supporters, of MAGA people, of MAGA billionaires. So that's going to be really good if that's what happens, because then we're going to have TikTok become the next, which would be very, very bad. To become the next Twitter would be very bad. Yeah, somebody said to me, usually I come to you to calm me down and you're not calming me down. And I told them, I think the situation is even much, much worse than I am telling you. I don't think I can use the language I need to use to tell you and to warn you about what I think is coming, because I think TikTok would get upset with that if I did that, because as you know, they like us to not talk about some things. So that should give you a sense of how bad it's going to be. I think it's much worse than what I'm even telling you. And things they're going to try to do, things they're going to try to go after, things they're going to try to stop, if you know what I mean, next year. Very bad. Discord, I can tell you, yes. Discord, we can talk. But this is, guys, Trump is unleashed. We've been saying this. Trump is unleashed. Trump feels like nothing is holding him back. The law, he learned with all these lawsuits and all these indictments that he was never going to be held responsible. And now he's unleashed. I don't think there's anything he wouldn't do. Anything. Anything. Now, the only saving grace is there's, I don't know who these guys are, but these like conservative podcast people, they're in the, my nephew was telling me, they're in the Joe Rogan orbit. One of the guys' last name is, I think, Singh. I don't know if I've got this here. Like first name starts with an A, last name Singh. They're like these three guys that have a podcast. They're very conservative, but they're very influential, kind of Rogan-esque. And they were talking today, and they were very upset actually at what was going on, which I thought was very interesting. They were saying that, I don't know if I've got this. Let me see if I've got this here. Actually, I sent it to my nephew. Hold on. I've got it in my text messages. So this is interesting. Like the Joe Rogan-esque conservatives are getting worried about what, here we go. Akash Singh on the Flagrant Pod. So it's called the Flagrant Podcast. One of the guys is Akash Singh. Again, my nephew knew who they were. He said they're big, basically. A Flagrant Podcast, exactly. Quote, in terms of censorship, freedom of speech is more under attack now than it's ever been. It is funny to watch right-wing people just become left-wing people. As much as we hated left-wing shit, this is different and scarier. Now, again, that's actually very good. You've got guys who are conservatives, Republicans. They don't like left-wingers. They supported Trump. And now they're saying what's happening is scary. The scary attack on the Constitution, scary attack on freedom of speech. And it's far worse than anybody on the left has ever done. I mean, that's at least good for them to be calling it out, frankly. This is scary stuff, guys. I really do. I mean, and again, already we've got like Twitter is a place we got to be careful. Here is, I think, is a place we've got to be careful. YouTube is okay so far. Discord's okay so far. Man, he said Trump's going after two other comedians now. He's going to go, all the media people. I mean, all the media people now are terrified. Several of them have had to cave to him. This is, I wish the world could come together and help us. I really do. And I think, unfortunately, by the way, and honestly, everyone is responsible in their own way, in the sense that, I blame the rest of the world on the tariff stuff. Only a few countries tried to stand up to Trump, even China. China's like one of the only ones that kind of stood up to him. Canada a little bit, right? But the Europeans, you didn't really stand up to Trump. I'm sorry, your governments did not stand up to Trump at all. Now, it's not easy because the European governments were afraid of Trump, but they should have gotten together and said, no, no, you're not going to bully us. You're not going to push us around. People with power, we need you guys desperately. And I don't think you're going to help us. Not you. I mean, you guys are good, but your governments aren't going to help us. And I don't know what to do at this point. Yeah, Jason just canceled his Disney Plus. Thank you, Jason. Canadians have got Disney Plus and Hulu, I'm assuming, right? Do you guys have it too? I'm assuming. Only because you guys have a lot of the same stuff we've got in Canada. Do you guys have that? Because if you do, just saying, you do? Okay. Yeah. Sean already canceled. Oh, no quarter already canceled. Thank you, guys. Now, I'm really intrigued how many people have canceled. Thank you, Martin, as well. It's very scary stuff. Oh, man. People are canceling because Disney and ABC are responsible for caving to Donald Trump yesterday and canceling like one of the biggest comedy shows in America because Trump didn't like him. So Trump had the head of the Federal Communications Commission threaten to pull the broadcast license of the TV network. And rather than saying that's illegal, we're going to court, they caved and they fired the comedian. They canceled his show. Oh, they took the show off the air indefinitely. I love the way they're putting it. The show's off the air indefinitely. So he's not officially fired. It's like, okay, whatever. Doesn't matter what his ratings are. That's a ridiculous comment. somebody said his ratings were horrible. That is the most ridiculous. That's like saying, you know, you shot somebody because, but hey, his ratings were bad. Yeah. Or you kidnapped somebody, but you know, his ratings were bad. Yeah. That's completely irrelevant to committing a crime. And this is a crime and it's un-American. So yeah, violation of the Constitution, violation of freedom of speech. Doesn't really matter what your ratings are when you're violating the Constitution. And Democrats and conservatives and Republicans both used to understand that. Fringes didn't. The fringe of the Democratic Party didn't always understand the Constitution. You know, I think Republicans used to almost be better in certain parts of the Constitution, of course. Now, right? This is a blatant attack on the Constitution and our civil rights. Not just our civil rights, but our freedom of speech, freedom of association. Thank you, Michelle. You know, does anybody care anymore? I mean, you guys care. I know that. Thank you for the Elvis. Thank you, Luis. Appreciate that. Oh, man. Very scary. Very scary. Well, here's the problem. I mean, somebody just said private company can do what they want. Angel, the problem is this isn't a private company doing what they want. It's a private company openly threatened by the federal government and told, you are going to do this or else we are going to destroy your business by taking away your broadcast license. That is not a private company doing whatever it wants. That is literally a private company facing extortion from the federal government based on their viewpoint. That is illegal, and it is a violation of the U.S. Constitution. So, yeah, you know, I mean, yeah, man, absolutely unbelievable. Oh, man. He literally open threatened. He said, we can do this the hard way or the easy way. You can either go after that comedian and we told you, punish him, or we're going to take your broadcast license. That is not a private business. And the people on TV, the Republicans on TV, the Trump defenders, all day have been trying to say, oh, this is just the private sector, the market, the economic market making its view known. No, quite literally, the Trump administration told the TV network, we are going to yank your broadcast license and shut you down, or you're going to punish this comedian. Again, the quote, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is you punish him. The hard way, we take away your license. That is not giving the stations a choice. That is not the stations deciding in the free market what to do. That is something I have never seen the American government do in my lifetime that I recall. Nixon tried to do some stuff like this, but nothing like this that I saw. It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. You know, really scary stuff. And again, well, exactly. Imagine if Obama did it. Exactly. They got mad. My God, dog wants a little water. Dog wants water early. 1 second, guys. Well, the Obama stuff is interesting. Republicans got mad at President Obama and said he was a dictator and freedom of speech because for a while, the Obama White House stopped calling on Fox News. They stopped giving Fox News questions that they could ask. You know, like during the question period, they wouldn't call on the Fox News guy. That was enough for Obama to be accused of stifling freedom of speech. Obama didn't say he was going to shut down Fox News unless they fired the reporter. All he did was, that's all he did. You know. Now, did you see Trump punished the Australians today too? Did you see that? Somebody last night, I think it was an Australian here, mentioned last night that an Australian reporter asked Trump a question and he got pissed, and they refused to include the Australians in something in Great Britain. They kicked the Australian reporter out. And I think the Australians, I forget the question exactly. It was a pretty straightforward question. You know, T-shirt is on Amazon. They've got a number of them on Amazon, just to show you. I love my Be Kind T-shirt. It pisses off the trolls too, which is nice. The bad people get upset at this T-shirt. It's a rainbow. Why is it a rainbow? Like, yes, it's a rainbow. I think you'll be okay. Literally, they're like, it's a rainbow. I love how that, like, literally rainbows trigger them now. It's like, we have done our job. if the worst thing in the world to you is a rainbow, then I've done my job. Anyway. And the cup, well, the cup was mom's. I love this cup. I just think it's really cute. It's a great little summer cup. Oh, yeah, rainbows and watermelons, exactly. It's hard. Can't get much better than that. That's okay, Andre. Appreciate the sentiment, though. Well, honestly, Pravir just mentioned the mafia. I mean, the whole quote, there's two different quotes here. One quote, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. That totally sounds like mafia. The other quote is the Trump quote, which I love too. When Trump says we should take away their broadcast license, he goes, "But I have no control over that. It will be up to Brendan Carr, the FCC guy. I think Brendan Carr is outstanding. He's a patriot. He loves our country, and he's a tough guy. But I have nothing to do with that. It's up to him." What did the boss just tell you to do, Brendan? We know what Brendan's supposed to do. Trump has made it clear to Brendan what he's supposed to do. This is not rocket science here, very scary stuff. Very scary stuff. Yeah. Oh, thank you. What was the little flower? What was that? Was it the butterflies? They were flowers. Oh, I see. It was butterflies flying around the flowers. Thank you for that. Thank you. Well, that's the other thing. Remember Project 2025, which was the big, horrific MAGA blueprint of all the horrible things they were going to do, and Trump denied it? I don't know who these people are. I don't know what that is. Somebody tweets today and says, Brendan Carr, who's the head of the Federal Communications Commission, who's the guy that ordered the comedian be fired, basically, somebody tweets today and says, in only 8 months, they have already achieved 50%, half of the entire Project 2025 plan they've already achieved in only 8 months. Brendan Carr responds with the picture of Jack Nicholson from The Shining, where he's kind of turned sideways and he's going like this, evilly, meaning, haha, yeah, I did it. Right? I mean, Trump denied this. He lied during the election. Trump denied Project 2025. It was the blueprint. He lied to everybody. I mean, it boggles my mind, Oh, our dog. Oh, good. You're not eating anything. I'll give you that. Okay, come on in. Come on. At least she's not eating anything, so that's good. All right. Anyway, very scary stuff. Very scary stuff. Anyway, we do have other Ukraine stuff. I can move on to that. I just wanted to see what else was going on with this first before we moved over. It's terrifying stuff. Absolutely terrifying stuff. Yeah, Dems should have packed the court. I mean, that's it. Remember, Biden could have packed the court and expanded the Supreme Court. Oh, that would be wrong. That would be wrong. Prosecuting Donald Trump, that would be wrong. Well, congratulations. Because Merrick Garland refused to prosecute Donald Trump, this is what we got, right? Because Ruth Bader Ginsburg refused to step down from the court when she was older than dirt. Her seat now went to a crazy person on the right. Well, congratulations, everybody. Not you. Ruth Bader Ginsburg helped do this. Merrick Garland absolutely did this. Donald Trump should have been prosecuted from day one for his crimes. Absolutely, positively, from day one. Now, if he was elected president, it wouldn't have mattered. But, at least the crimes would have been on the books. Just unbelievable. And maybe it would have made a difference in the election. Can corporations that pay for the advertising do something legally in their realm? What do you mean exactly, Kind? I'm not sure what you mean by that, though, as far as do what. Thank you, Chris, for canceling. Cecil. Oh, hey, Cecil. Cecil, you're the one that I sometimes call Cecil, right? What was your message? Mafia bosses are at least able to be negotiated with. Well, Trump, you just give him money. That's what they've been trying to do. Of course, they give him money and then he comes back and wants more. Big surprise, But yeah, that's good. Big Rondo says Canada has been one of the most frustrating trade partners or trade problems for Trump. We have stopped buying fruit, etc., or any U.S. products in our stores. We invested billions in our northern deep water port. Good. Well, you guys, we know you guys cut off a lot of the American goods. Thank you, Cinderella, for the heart, which was very good, actually. That was very, very, very good. There you go. Thank you, JTA. The Australian reporter's question was how a president can be tied with so many companies making money while being can be tied up with or be involved in so many companies making money while he's president. Oh, I missed the super chat. And that was it to get the reporter banned, basically. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Cecil. Oh, that question. I'm sorry. You know what's funny? I saw it when I was in the middle of something, and I saw there was a super chat, and it went totally out of my head. Sorry about that, Cecil. Thank you. So what's the difference between speech rights between the Europeans and the MAGA desires? I've always heard Americans have better rights than anyone. We do, but what we've found, okay, American freedom of speech rights are very strong. I have never fully understood what they are in Europe. I always have to be a little careful because I can't give example. Even YouTube is questionable, but TikTok, I can't give examples of, well, here's something we could say in America, because then I would be saying something awful that like a World War II German would say, right, about people. So I can't give the example. But you could stand on the corner and say, hold a sign extolling that guy from World War II, for example. You could say, he's great. We love him. You could hold a sign saying you hate certain groups of people in America and that they're horrible people and they're inhuman and whatever. I mean, now I don't know in Europe because I never quite know how it works in Europe, because there's certain things that you can do and certain things you can't do. And I've never understood. Thank you, Jennifer, for the gift. You would be arrested in the UK for that, would you? What that I've already said would not be okay in the UK, for example. Because that's the thing that I don't understand. Is what, so I'm going to adjust my temperature again here. Come on, temperature. Oh, Jesus. Okay, don't go down to 70. That was a bit much. All right, 75. It's like delaying today, 74. That works. Yeah, the Holocaust denial, totally legal. Horrible, absolutely horrible, but totally legal in America to deny the Holocaust. Hate speech. All hate speech, legal in America. What you can't do is you cannot incite violence. There's different categories surrounding this, but basically you can't incite violence. You can't call for violence. You can't say, hey, let's all beat up that police officer over there or something like that. You can't do that. That would be a crime in America because that would be inciting violence. But short of inciting violence, most things are not crimes. Now, if you defame somebody, they can sue you, but it's not a crime, right? But yeah, denying the Holocaust, you can totally do. Like I said, you can defend that evil man in World War II. You can do lots of stuff. Now, again, Europe has a very unique history with regards to World War II, so I can understand why it would be illegal. But the problem becomes, like with all of this stuff, well, who says you can't do it? Donald Trump just did it. He just used the government to force private companies to squelch free speech. Who's going to go after him? I mean, the comedian could sue, okay, and then you've got to go to a bunch of Trump judges to see if, like in the Supreme Court especially, to see if they'll agree with you, maybe. If he actually broke the law, because there's been discussion that Brendan Carr, the head of the FCC, violated the Communications Act, which is illegal. Who's going to go after him? Is the Justice Department going after him? Is Congress, is a Republican Congress going to remove Brendan Carr from his seat? No, right? Is Pam Bondi at the Justice Department going to prosecute Brendan Carr for violating the law? No. So you can have freedom of speech, but the courts and the government have to enforce it. And the courts are the government, but right, otherwise, what does it matter? I'm going to look and see. I did not see anything about Kimmel filing a lawsuit yet. I would be surprised if he filed one this quickly, because typically it takes a few days to write up a good lawsuit. Maybe he did. I would be I think I would be very surprised. Yeah, not seeing anything. No, I think you're wrong. Yeah, I didn't see anything. Kimmel lawsuit. One last thing. No. There's no news about a Kimmel lawsuit that I can find, which again makes sense because there shouldn't be anything that this is way too quick. His intentions. Okay, although even that's not showing up though on Google. But yeah, it would typically take 2 or 3 days at least to write it because you've got to get your arguments, you've got to get the citations correct. It was on TikTok. There you go. Yeah. Remember, I've told you about this. Remember, I always tell you, be very careful who is giving you the news, right? Make sure it's people who have a history of being right. Well, that's right. Well, I remember your name, Cecil, because it always makes me think Cecil. I think I asked you if you were British. Although Hawks, but for some reason your name being short also jogged. It's been a while. I know. I don't think I've seen you. I don't know. I don't remember everything, but you, for some reason, it's stuck in my head. You know why too? There was a guy, Scott Cecil, in graduate school. So the name Cecil also is just sort of an interesting, in English is an interesting name. We don't really see it much as a first name, really. So anyway, oh my God. TikTok's feeding you Hulu ads. Yeah, JTA, I am not comfortable saying the German leader in World War II's name on TikTok because I worry, A, that they'll stop my broadcast, B, they might ban me, C, they might disfavor my broadcast, and all of a sudden my channel now doesn't get shown to as many people. This is, by the way, the danger of censorship is you start to self-censor out of fear, right? And this is what the networks are going to start doing. They're going to start self-censoring themselves. You know, it's bad. It's very bad. It's like Voldemort, right? You know, you're not allowed to say his name. Kind-hearted. My reply to my comment. I don't know, kind-hearted. There's too many comments here. I'm not sure what I'm actually seeing. There's too much here. I don't know. There's too many comments. Yeah. I mean, the problem is I'm looking at like 3 different screens for YouTube and Discord as well. The Tesla case, I don't know what Tesla case that would be. Oh, The View didn't even mention it. Wow. The View is this like kind of opinionated show on ABC. 5 women get together. That they wouldn't even talk unless it was a rerun. That they wouldn't talk about it is huge. You know. Yeah, that was my concern, Joshua. I think mentioning his name is too risky. Hey, Emil, it went Oslo. That's kind of fun. Yes, we'll call him I should just call him Voldemort in the future. Either Voldemort or He Who Should Not Be Named. We should do that. I could say World War II's He Who Should Not Be Named. Although I think saying the German guy from World War II makes it more obvious who he is without stepping on. Although I guess he's Austrian. You're right. That's true. That's true. He wasn't he was the German leader, but he was the Austrian guy. Austrian guy may confuse people though. They're going to think it's what's his face, the UN, the UN guy who was a little bit of an NZ in his past, Velveeta Voldemort. Oh man, how do we move forward? This is first of all, massive lawsuits left and right, but this is incredibly dangerous stuff that's going on right now. No, I mean, I'm telling you, somebody better than me had better figure out how we all respond to this because this is incredibly dangerous. I cannot even imagine this in my lifetime happening in this country. I don't think there's anything he wouldn't do. That's what worries me. Anything, you know, that's just terrifying. Gavin Newsom's been good commenting on it. You know, Democrats overall, I think, need to kind of get together and be much higher profile about this. I mean, they need to go public and destroy him, you know, publicly, verbally. They've got to. And I think they're afraid to. You know, it's actually 1 year to go because there's congressional elections next year. I know, my Greek passport. It's congressional elections next year. So that's what, and I think Democrats, of course, are thinking, well, it's kind of going well, you know, with election next year. We don't want to rock the boat, blah, blah, blah. So there's always this kind of stuff, you know. They're afraid. They don't want to do anything too, say anything too strong against Trump and have it blow up in their face. And honestly, I think voters want to see strength personally. I think even if they disagree with him, they should come out and call Trump for who he is and let them be all, oh my God, and just go and then throw it back at him. Oh my God, did you call me that? Yes, throw it back. J.D. Vance did. Actually, in the last 2 weeks, Republicans have been doing this nonstop. J.D. Vance, the Speaker of the House, both of them brought up the fascist word and the NZ word from World War II and said, they call us both of these things. It's horrible. And Democrats should have turned around and said, yeah, and thrown it back at them again and used the words again and say, and don't flinch. Say, yeah, I did. Here's why. And detail it and throw it back and say, and you are. But they won't. I don't want to run for Congress, but I think somebody needs to do it. Somebody has got to. Well, the problem is it's a distraction, but here's part of the problem too. Somebody said it's a distraction. They're not wrong. But the problem is it's kind of like saying, somebody on the corner is being shot, but they're doing it as a distraction. Well, maybe, but somebody on the corner is being shot. You can't ignore that, right? They're literally tearing apart the U.S. Constitution. Even if they're doing it as a distraction, we can't stop. We have to focus on that and help if we can, right? They're trying to destroy all free media in America. They're doing it as a distraction. They're not just doing it actually, and they're not just doing it as a distraction. This is part of the strategy. This is part of their goal overall. So, but even if it were a distraction, it's so dangerous to the future of the country. There's no choice but for us to talk about it and try to work on it. Yes, it is. It is. I'm not going to repeat that sentence, but I've actually talked about it before. But yes, it is. That's exactly what the administration is doing. Very scary stuff. Very scary stuff. Democrats have got to get their act together, though, because they've got to go much more strongly publicly and call Trump on this, get the news so that the media has no choice but to report on it, and frankly, scare the hell out of people. I would, if I were them, I'd go public and I'd say just that. I'd say, here's what I think he's going to do next. Talk about the election. Democrats should talk about the election. Talk about other things they think he's going to do. First of all, it puts him on the spot because what's Trump going to, actually, they ought to anyway, because by accusing Trump of doing things with the election, you put him in a bad spot because what's he going to do? He's going to say no. Republicans are going to say that's not true. Well, the election's a year away. It puts you in an interesting position if Trump then does play games with the election because he just denied it. I mean, that doesn't hurt. But they ought to call him on it. Oh, he did oh my God, the Antifa thing, I forgot. So Trump banned an imaginary political group today. I mean, I laugh. It's not funny because I think part of his plan is very dangerous here. Trump the president does not have the power to declare terrorist groups, to declare you a domestic terrorist. International, yeah. Domestic, he has no power to declare terrorist groups. Well, he did it anyway, which means it's a lie, but this is Trump. So he signed an executive order, which has no legal weight whatsoever, designating Antifa a terrorist group. The problem is, A, Trump doesn't have the power to designate anybody domestically a terrorist group. B, Antifa doesn't exist. So it's like designating the Tooth Fairy as a terrorist group. It doesn't make any sense. The Antifa, and this is actually an example, though, of Republican messaging where they're very good. And they've created this boogeyman called Antifa, anti-fascist. And they pretend like it's an organization with a head and disciples and funding and all this kind of stuff. It doesn't exist. There is no organization. There is no head of the organization. There's no funders for the organization. It doesn't exist. But they've created this boogeyman to scare everybody. And now Trump just like banned it as a terrorist group. What worries me, though, because keep in mind, what Trump does is, even if he can't do things legally, like look at the immigration stuff. A lot of the stuff he's doing isn't legal. He does it anyway. He takes these people and sends them out of the country. And the judge says you weren't supposed to do that. He goes, oh, sorry, they're gone, right? I worry about the Antifa stuff, that he takes domestic political opponents and he declares that they're Antifa. And because he's declared they're Antifa and he declared Antifa was a terrorist group, he then says, you're a terrorist, you don't get a lawyer, you don't get an attorney. You're a terrorist, you get sent to Guantanamo Bay, to Gitmo, right? Because we don't send terrorists to the regular criminal court system. We send them to like the military court system in third countries, right? That's what worries me with the Antifa stuff, is that that's what we see next, is Trump saying, oh, they're terrorists. You know how we treat terrorists. And by the time somebody goes to court and says, what are you doing? It's too late. You know, that's what the Antifa. So the Antifa stuff worries. It's stupid because Antifa doesn't exist and Trump doesn't have the legal power as president to designate domestic terror groups. But it's also incredibly dangerous because we know that doesn't stop him from basically breaking the law. Dog, I don't know what you want from me. Sorry, she's whining again. Ah, la 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 la. What else here? Trying to see. There's a lot of other little news, but let me look here and see. 1 second here. Trump again today claimed that the 19 drones that entered Poland from Russia, it was an accident. It was a mistake. Trump said today, the drones just fell into Polish territory. They were shot down and they fell into Polish territory, right? That basically like the Ukrainians shot them down in Ukraine and the drones like limped across the border into Poland through no fault of the Russians, right? I looked it up as to just how deep inside Poland these drones fell. Okay. Thank you, Annie. You always got to remind, oh, that's the goat. Now, you tend to like a small goat. Do you want the small goat or the large goat? Up to you. Sorry, Andy just bought the goat on TikTok. That's our TikTok wish list gift. Small. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Dog wants more water. Hold on. Although I think the dog is faking me out because she's whining like she wants water, but she's looking the other way, which usually means give me a treat. One moment. Give you a little more water here, dog. All right. I don't trust you at all. There you go. Okay. I will give you a little bit. All right. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. So the shoot. What was I talking about? Oh, I'm forgetting. I appreciate the gift though, Annie, but it totally switched my mind. Drones. Yes. So I looked at just how far the Russian drones fell into Poland when they were destroyed in Ukraine, and the parts just happened across the border, as Donald Trump claimed. Several of the drones went 240 to 250 kilometers inside Poland. That would be 150 miles. Some other drones went about 200 kilometers, which I think is like maybe 110 miles, something like that, 120 miles. That's why. So multiple drones went several hundred miles inside Poland, and Donald Trump still today claimed, oh, they got blown up in Ukraine and the pieces flew across the border. 150 miles. He's doing this for Vladimir Putin. Why? God only knows why. But he's spreading Putin propaganda, and we have no idea why. What else? Today is the day in 1939 that Russia invaded Poland in cooperation with its NZ German allies. That was lovely. The Pentagon is considering a recruiting campaign. Listen to this. The Pentagon, our Defense Department, wants to recruit more troops. They're thinking of going to Charlie Kirk organizational meetings for Turning Point or whatever it's called, TP, the TP USA, his group. They're thinking of going to the chapters on college campuses and recruiting at the Charlie Kirk TP USA meetings on college campuses so they can get more MAGA activists in the US military. They want ideological MAGA activists to be our soldiers. That's scary. That's scary. Because if you're talking about using troops illegally in American cities, you'll do a much better job, much more effectively, if you have troops who are not typical American soldiers, but who are partisan activists. Because American soldiers, you don't want your troops to be partisan political activists. You want them to be soldiers who follow orders, and that's it. And also have a conscience and don't commit war crimes. But that's it. Very scary stuff. Hold on a little bit more. Trump said that Trump did say, he said also on the last day, Russia's war in Ukraine doesn't affect us because actually, I am going to read this quote directly. So Trump said, even without the gift, you get the hat, the wig. Trump said, Russia's war in Ukraine, it doesn't affect us because we have a big ocean in between. This is Goldie. I swear to God, this is Goldie Hawn in Diplomat. The war in Ukraine doesn't affect us because he actually said because we have a big ocean in between. Yeah, actually, war in Europe does affect America, even if there's water. Protocol, thank you, it's protocol. Even if there's water doesn't stop missiles from coming across and hitting America. It actually doesn't, especially the nuclear ones, but even the non-nuclear ones, it really doesn't. Economy, I looked up some figures. The European Union is America's largest trade partner. In 2023, EU American service and goods and services exceeded 1.3 trillion. Thank you for the gift there, WTF. Again, Europe is our largest trade partner. War in Europe would be very bad for the American economy. Investment. U.S. companies have invested 3.3 trillion in Europe. European companies have invested more than 3 trillion in the U.S. Those investments support millions of jobs on both sides of the body of water. Financial markets. European instability shakes U.S. financial markets, raises energy prices, drives inflation. The NATO commitment. Now, obviously, nobody thinks Trump would come to help Europe if they got invaded. But I don't know how long he'd get away with that. Maybe he'd get away with it. At some point, I think if Putin were to invade Europe, at this point, I don't see Trump helping. I really don't. Thank you, Cheryl. Oh, that's another goat. That's another goat. Which goat would you like, big or small? I don't see Trump helping if Putin invades Europe. But is it the galaxy? Yeah, that's the galaxy. That's the goat. Yeah, that's the goat. The question becomes which big goat. Oh, he's even got the bell on him too. Thank you. We'll do one more. Thank you for the gift. Come on, you. I don't think Trump would respond. I don't think he would help if Putin invaded Europe. I do think many Republicans would flip out and would want him to respond. The problem is, are they going to do anything about it? The dog is tough because she doesn't like me to pick her up. Can I pick you up to say hi? Hey, can I pick you up, please? What do you think? Thank you. Okay. She hates when I pick her up. There you go. Somebody has to see her. She absolutely hates it when I pick her up. You okay? I know. I'm going to put you down 2 seconds. All right? Don't worry. Hates it, hates it, hates it, hates it, hates it. Okay, go down. Go down. There you go. Okay. Okay. All done. All done. There you go. She does. I literally have to look at her on the floor and go, and I put my hand out. You guys may have been able to see it. I don't know over there. I had to put my hand out, and otherwise she runs when I try to do it. Absolutely runs. That's true. Well, I thought of it as a gift goal. The problem is she so hates it that I didn't really want to put it as something I have to do. You know what I mean? Because she really doesn't like it. So I considered it. She does sleep with me. Yes. She's over 15 now. Actually, the cute thing with Sasha now is she's become friends with the neighbor's cat. She loves cats. And we go over, and twice this has happened now. I told you last time she did it again. He was away. I had to go feed his cats. And he said he could bring the dog. She comes over. Well, he's got 2 cats, a black one and a calico one. Both of them like me now, which is good. The calico still won't come near Sasha. The black one sees Sasha and comes right over now. 2 different times now in the last week, comes over, goes nose to nose with Sasha. And the nose thing is a couple seconds of nose to nose. Interestingly, Sasha's okay with it because dogs don't do that. Dogs don't do nose to nose. Dogs do typically smell your butt, this kind of stuff, right? But it's very cute. Like they do a nose to nose thing. And the cat doesn't get worried, doesn't do it. And then the cat kind of hangs out by her. It's very cute. It's very cute. But the other thing was the first time, though, the cat went nose to nose, and in the middle of it went like, meow. She just did this like singular meow that was almost like not a yelp, because it was like meow. But she didn't stop. She didn't swipe. It was very cute. So they're like friends now. It's really cute. But no, Sasha's always been good with cats. And she's also, she's always been, she's bilingual in cat, exactly. She's always been very mellow because she likes cats and finds them very exciting. And she's very mellow about meeting them. So she kind of sits there and stands there and kind of maybe goes over a little bit, but she stops. So it's more cat-like the way she does it. Anyway, it's very cute. It's very cute. So I was just glad. I was glad she now has finalized her cat friendship, which was nice. So anyway, but yes. Oh, that was what I was going to say. So the NATO commitment, I do think Republicans would try to force Trump to get involved in the war, but I think it would be difficult. Depending what countries are involved, keep in mind, a lot of us are from over there. Like if Greece is in trouble, the Greek lobby is going to get pissed. There's a lot of German origin, the Irish, the Irish, we hope the Irish get involved, but a lot of Irish here. So you don't know. But the other thing is just the economic implications. We can't afford to have a war in Europe and to have the Russians win it, of all things. That would be incredibly dangerous for the US. But again, Trump may not care. So I don't know. That's my, Carol says, I can't imagine a Republican going against him. That's my concern as well. Would a Republican really turn against him and say, you have to defend the Europeans against the Russian invasion? This is the guy, Trump's going to say, well, the Russian troops didn't invade. They tripped. They tripped across the border. They fell. They didn't invade Poland in 1939. They tripped into Poland in 1939, Checks and balances in government, Mike, they went away. What we learned, look, the biggest thing we've learned with Trump the first time, and certainly this time, our system of government is incredibly flawed and incredibly, what's the word I'm looking for, weak. It cannot sustain an attack. We were always taught, there's a system of checks and balances. There's three branches of government, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial, and they all have they're co-equal branches, and they all have power over each other, like rock, scissors, paper. And what we found was no, right? If the legislative is run by the same party, they're not going to do anything to stop their guy, which is what the Republicans do. Or so that's the case. If the court has been packed with the guy's people, they're not going to do anything. So, and if he commits crimes, who's going to stop him? You think Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are going to investigate and prosecute Donald Trump for crimes? Really? His own MAGA activists? I don't think so. So there are no checks and balances in our government, which is a terrifying thought. Certainly, we are going to need new laws when this is over, if this ever ends. But we're going to need new laws that basically constrain the power of the presidency. The problem is, again, what do? He'd break the law. He'd break the law anyway. Exactly. Our government's a gentleman's agreement. Exactly. But I will say, I think making companies pay, making Disney and Hulu pay for caving to Donald Trump and firing a comedian and canceling his show because Donald Trump told them to, you make companies pay a price for doing that. And at the very least, other companies will think twice. Because right now, every company in America is terrified of Donald Trump coming after them, right? Keep in mind, remember what Donald Trump did his first day in office. He attacked all the law firms. Remember, Trump attacked all the law firms and said, you're not going to get any more business with the government he said, even better, Trump said, none of your clients are going to get business with the government because you worked for Democrats or you worked on the insurrection. Trump literally was upset that they tried to put people in jail who were domestic terrorists, okay? And he literally said, these law firms we're naming, we will not do business with the government with any of your clients. The point was to scare the clients away. And a bunch of the law firms caved. 2 of the law firms sued and they won. All the other law firms caved and said, okay. You know? I mean, this is terrifying stuff. It is meant to chill. Exactly, Gunther. That was my point about Ireland, yes. I didn't want to be mean to Ireland, but Ireland on the defense side, there's some controversy there. Google AI says Antifa still exists. It doesn't exist. I doubt Google AI says that. Antifa is like a theory. It's like some people call themselves that, but there's no organization. It's kind of like calling yourself a feminist, I would say, actually. Actually, that's probably a good example. It's like calling yourself a feminist. Okay, right? Like some guys call themselves feminists too because they believe in women's rights. That doesn't mean they're not part of you can't, for example, you couldn't outlaw feminists. You couldn't say, well, feminists are now a terrorist group. There's no group, right? Guys and women it's right. It's a movement. That maybe that's a good way of calling it, Mary or Marie. It's a movement, but even the movement, it's a philosophical movement, I would say. It's like a school of thought is what it is, right? Because it's an ideology. There you go. It's an ideology almost, because it's not a movement in the sense that they don't have meetings, they don't have dues, there's no leadership, there's no funding. So you can't ban them because it's like literally, and it's anti-fascism, but it's literally an ideology. So again, but this is what Trump does this. Trump has to create enemies, and then he's going to beat the enemy. He just banned them. He made them a terrorist group. Isn't that great? The group that doesn't exist is now a terrorist group. Yay! I mean, it's like, again, if you're uninformed, you think, oh, this was great that he did this. You know, this is great. You know. Anyway, oh man, I'm telling you guys, we only got a few more minutes here. This is very scary stuff going on. This is just incredibly scary stuff that's going on in our country. I mean, I really can't, I cannot overstate how dangerous this is going on right now. I really can't. Like I said, I don't want to get into details, but every fear that you people have raised in the past, I would be very worried about. Next year's elections, everything. I'd be very worried about everything at this point. I don't think I would put anything past them in terms of what they might do, unfortunately. Yeah, you yawned before me. I think I'm so worried I'm not yawning. No news on the hanging. Like I said, unless there's hard news, I'm not going to talk about it. Far too much experience working on. I'll Google it right now, but I've worked on civil rights issues for 30 years, so I've learned not to talk about issues that don't have any backing yet. Let me see here. Let's see what we know. Let's see. 2 Mississippi men here. Clarion Ledger. They're a good publication, from what I recall. 2 Mississippi men were found hanging from trees. What we know about both investigations. All eyes are in Mississippi this week after 2 men were found dead hanging from trees on Monday. Investigations into both deaths are ongoing. DeMar Trayvon Trey Reed, 21 of Grenada, was found early in the day at Delta State University campus. The young black man was a student. Investigators initially ruled his death a suicide. Corey Zucatis, 36 of Brandon, was found later in the day near a Vicksburg casino. Police are still investigating. Investigators say misinformation about both men is spreading online fast, including what the coroner described as inaccuracies about their limbs. The cases have drawn national attention, blah, blah, blah. Okay, to the credit, the university president says, while the preliminary report indicates no evidence of foul play, we recognize that this is not just about facts, it's about emotions and it's about feelings. Okay, that's fine. People are asking for thorough investigations. That's fine. Hold on. Let me see here. Okay. At this time, police still say no foul play is suspected. Again, they could be wrong, but people do hang themselves sometimes. Now, the second guy, where's the second guy here? Autopsy being performed. Where's the other one? Okay, is Reed's death tied to the man also found hanging in Vicksburg? Corey Zucatis, 36 of Brandon, was also found dead hanging from a tree around 2 hours away. Police don't believe the deaths are related. Zucatis was discovered in a wooded area. He is described as a white male who was homeless. I told you he was white and nobody. By the way, perfect example. When the story came up yesterday or the day before, I said one guy was black, one was white, and people went crazy. No, you're wrong. I was right. That's what I'm talking about. People will jump on these stories based on misinformation, and they will exactly. Two black guys would be certainly much weirder, right? And much more suspicious. Hanging especially, right? That would be very suspicious. Even within 2 hours, one's white. That's less suspicious. Still weird. I admit 2 hanging deaths is still weird. Body was sent for autopsy. So yeah, there's no other information. That's it. So the point here is, I think, first of all, I get the family. Of course, the family is like, are you sure? Totally agree with them. Well, I mean, I totally would agree with them. I would be like, I want to make sure that this wasn't foul play, right? And he's black. That's weird. Hanging, there's a history there in this country. The white guy is weird that he was white. It's still a little weird that they're not connected. 2 hangings in the same state, a little weird. Could the local law enforcement not want to investigate? Yes. Could they have covered it up? Yes. Right. I mean, there's a history. Any law enforcement anywhere, but especially in Mississippi. Yeah. Right. So it's worth investigating more. But I think, as I said, we don't know enough yet. And I think people are wrong to suggest, oh my God, there's 2 lynchings. No, there's not. There is a suspicious story out of Mississippi, and people are right to be asking more questions. Yes. How could you be hanging from a tree with no play? Because I can't use this language, but because you did it on purpose. That's how. You climb a tree. I'm not going to go through details here, but that's not very hard to do. Climb a tree and tie the rope. It's not very hard. I don't know these things. I'm not an expert on this, but I also don't want to I don't want to talk about it because the details are kind of, I don't want to share details about things like that. But yeah, no, there's no, we don't know. We don't know. Again, my point is, it absolutely merits further investigation to be sure. It is not clear it's a crime. It is not clear they're lynchings, and people should not talk that way. They should say, there's 2 very weird deaths in Mississippi that people should keep their eye on. Absolutely, positively. That's what you should say. And again, my experience working on civil rights issues, sometimes you just get it wrong. Sometimes people lie. In this case, these guys died. So, obviously they're not lying, so to speak, but we've also had fake hate crimes as well. Thank you, Outside Pool, for the sunglasses. But yeah, there's no proof that either one of them was lynched. You've got to get the proof first. So anyway, I don't want to be the DemCom director, but thank you, Ocean. I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, no, and because I'm a lawyer, even though I don't practice, I'm a lawyer. We tend to be more careful with language. We tend to be more careful on conclusions. We tend to be more anal about conclusions as well. As a lawyer, I want all the facts. I see things, they don't line up, and I'm not afraid to say, you know what, there's not enough information there yet. I'm too smart to be a politician. I'm probably too frank to be a politician too. Protecting my mental health, I don't know. I mean, this is something I've been working in politics since for 40 years practically. It's hard because I think it takes its toll. Years ago, a friend of mine working for Senator Kennedy, there was a woman, I think it was a woman once working for Jesse Helms. Jesse Helms was a horrifically bigoted Republican senator from North Carolina, the biggest bigot against blacks and gays in probably everybody else too in the United States Senate. A horrific man. And she worked for him, and my friend befriended her because he was very smart. He worked for Senator Kennedy, an icon of civil rights in the U.S. Senate, John F. Kennedy's brother, Ted Kennedy. And he was an icon on civil rights. And what my friend Michael learned was basically, even if somebody's working for the horrible guy, they may not be horrible. And he would befriend these people from the really bad offices in the US Senate, and they would help him occasionally. Sometimes they'd give him, the boss was going to do something evil the next day, and they would give him copies of the legislation. They'd be like, my boss is going to introduce this tomorrow. It's really bad. I want you to have a copy so you're ready. So sometimes he'd get stuff. Well, he was talking to one of the women once. I think it was working for working for Jesse Helms, the bigot. And the woman says to him, he told me, he goes, I had the weirdest conversation. She says to me, I don't understand how you can work on issues you care about. Because Michael worked on AIDS, gay rights, women's issues, disability issues. Sasha, disability issues. I touch more water for the dog. All right. Hold on. All right, here you go. He also worked on children's issues. Michael, for example, I watched him and this Republican staffer come up with the idea, this $5 billion child care program that the government used to do. I saw Michael and this woman come up with it on the spot, and I was like, that's amazing. Brilliant, amazing people. But her point was, and she said, but isn't it painful to work on things you care about? Because you care about women, you care about blacks, and you care about everybody, civil gays and people with AIDS and children. Doesn't it just destroy you after a while working on things that you care about? Because bad things happen and people, and again, Jesse Helms, they would get on the Senate floor and they'd say horrible things about gay people and horrible things about African Americans. And Michael said to her, I don't understand how you can work on issues you don't care about. And that's the way I feel, because I've actually always been jealous of people who can do work that they don't care about, or work, let me rephrase it, or work that I don't care about, right? Like people who just do a job because it's their job. I've always been very jealous of that, because I would go crazy doing a job that's just my job. I go there 9 to 5, I make money, and the rest of my life is outside. I would be bored to death. But it's hard though, because when you work on things, this is a perfect example, things you care about it. So each day you're worrying about stuff. I'm worrying about the country every day. That is difficult psychologically. I don't know how I deal with it. I don't know how any of us deal with it. It's hard. I can't give the dog a bigger bowl because she has a drinking problem. If I gave her a bigger bowl, she would drink 2 cups of water in one sitting, and then she would throw up all over the apartment. I wish to God I could just give the dog a big water bowl. At my mom's house, she was pretty good. Here, forget it. Here, she drinks it, and it's like, I think because the apartment's smaller. She has a drinking problem, exactly. Because the apartment's small, she's always near the bowl, so she sees it and goes, ooh, water. At my mom's house, it was in one area that we were in, but not all day, in the kitchen, so she wouldn't see it all the time and go, ooh, oh, she's 15. She's been tested for everything. She's fine. Her most recent blood test was perfect. Even her kidneys. The vet was actually pretty funny. The vet, I got it, her checkup was a month ago, and the vet goes, I said, he goes, all of her blood test was perfect. He goes, I said, how were her kidneys? Because 2 or 3 years ago, he goes, well, she's got the beginning stages of kidney disease, but she's okay. He goes, it's the beginning, some stuff in the urine. Let's change her food. Let's give her some omega-3, omega-6, whatever they are, fish oil. So I said, how are her kidney? He goes, her results were perfect. He goes, it's a little strange. I said, okay. Is that, he goes, no, that's good. He goes, it's just a little strange. I said, okay, well, good. So yeah, I mean, she doesn't have diabetes. She has been drinking like a fish since she was a puppy. Sorry, my nose is itching crazily now. She has been drinking like a fish since she was a puppy. See, you guys are funny because you're getting the back and forth. That's just what, hey, you're right. There you go. Okay. That's just who she is. It's weird. I don't know why. But also if I let her drink too much, then she can't control I don't want to tell you too much news, but she can't always control it. Like last night, she couldn't control the bladder in bed. And I literally bought I've got this wonderful blanket. I was telling you, actually, I just had to wash it. I can show you. I got this amazing blanket on Amazon that is basically for pets, although honestly, it would work for children too. It's for pets to not, if they can't control their bladder entirely, so they don't make a mess of your bed or make a mess of your couch. This thing, it's incredible. It gets wet, but it doesn't go through. And then you just wash it in the washing machine and it's clean. And it only, every couple months she has an accident. She had an accident last night. I'm going to show you the blanket though, because as always, I like, me, I'm always like showing you guys Amazon products that I don't get a cut for, but I'm promoting them. So hang on. It's very cool. I'm not going anywhere, dog. Relax. So this is the blanket. It's very cool. So one side is white and fuzzy and it's really nice and comfortable. The other side, there's different colors. This one ended up being, it's this dark brown. It ended up being beautiful. It's beautiful. And I have one I throw on my couch and the other one I throw on the bed. And what I do is I make the dog sleep on top of it because I got the big one. It covers the bed. I make the dog sleep on top of it. And then I put a sheet over it because she likes to be under stuff. So rather than going under, I have her go on top of this and the sheets on top. So if she pees because she sometimes just can't help it. She pees in her sleep. And this thing it's insane. I think it goes this way. It's insane how thick this is. It's waterproof. It doesn't go through the bottom. It literally doesn't come through the bottom. It's crazy. Now, the weirdest thing is the water, the urine, it soaks up. So it does soak inside, which is also good, but it doesn't come through the other side. It's crazy. And literally, like this morning, I was like, I just had this feeling maybe she did something. And I went like this, didn't feel something. Sometimes I have to put my hand and press a little or I can't feel it. That's what's crazy. It's that effective. Let me pull it up. I hate doing this. I ought to do this stuff and link to some Amazon thing. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm just losing out on tons of Amazon referral, money for these companies. I will pull it up. Give me 1 second. I'll pull it up and tell you what it is. I love it. And the thing is, it's incredibly comfortable. I literally will, it'll cover me sometimes as a blanket too. Again, first of all, it's your dog. So once I washed it in the washing machine, I don't care. I don't think it's gross once it's washed. You know what I mean? Other people may not like it, but when it's your animal, once it's washed, you're like, whatever. Let me see here. Blanket. I am very, and of course it's Amazon. Return it if you don't like it. But I found the lighter brown was ugly. Here we go. Yeah, I got it like a year ago. Yeah, the lighter, God, which one is this? Oh, this is the lighter one looks a better color. This is the lighter one, which looks like a much nicer color, but it's not. The lighter color looked bad. I got the brown, and the brown does not look like a nice color, but in person, it's a nice brown. You can see. So it is, it's Yaning, here, Yaning, it's some Chinese thing, Yaning on Amazon. If you guys can see. And I'll see what it's called, a waterproof blanket for bed, couch, sofa for dog, cat, puppy, Sherpa fleece. And they've got different sizes, but the 60 by 80 inches, $40, 50 by 60 inches, $30. I mean, anyway. Love this thing. It is, and again, it helped me last night. It's godsend, and they have lots of colors. But you got to see like I said, the light brown looks pretty online. The light brown was ugly in person, but it was, but the dark brown was very pretty in person. So who knows? Anyway, all right. Yeah, I would check it out. Again, it's pretty cheap. I got the small and ended up wanting the bigger because I realized the bigger I could use on the couch and tuck it in. So sometimes I'll tuck it in on the couch and make it a couch protector. And the bed, the same thing. I realized I need her to sleep on top of it. So if it's really big, there's no chance of her getting around it. So then it ends up being part blanket for me, which I'm fine with because I wash it, so I don't care. You know what I mean? But no, I'm shocked that the water doesn't go through. And as I said, sometimes you feel it and go, is that wet? You have to push and go, oh yeah, it's wet. Shocking how good it is. Anyway, yeah, I can put a link in Discord. Anyway, stairs. I finally got the stairs were horrible. I finally bought two of these ramps for her. So I finally got two of these ramps so I could show you. But see, a ramp that she uses. This one's kind of cute because it folds, but she hates it. It folds back and becomes stairs, but she hates it as stairs. So I leave it as a ramp, and she loves it as a ramp. So I use this for the couch or the bed. It's not really tall enough for the bed unless you have a low bed. I ended up having to get rid of the metal thing under my bed. But for a couch, it's very good. For a bed, it's still a little short, I think. Anyway, remind me later. I'm going to go, guys. Remind me later, and I can put links up. Ash or Amanda or somebody, Blue, one of you guys remind me, and I'll put it up in Discord, okay? All right. I'm going to get going, guys. All right, 7:30. All right. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you. Bye, Discord. Doop. Since we're already 7:30. Oops. There we go. All right, YouTube. She's roaming again. Bye, guys. Yeah, Pink Floyd. That's funny. Pink Floyd.